BENAIAH, one of the most important figures in David's army, comes from a lineage that traces back to the tribe of Levi, one of the 12 tribes of Israel. The tribe of Levi was unique among the tribes of Israel, as it was chosen to perform specific religious functions. The Levites were entrusted with service in the tabernacle, which would later become the temple in Jerusalem, and they played a central role in the spiritual life of the nation. While many of the Levites' duties were priestly and liturgical, they also had military and leadership responsibilities within Israelite society. It is within this context that we find BENAIAH, whose Levitical heritage adds an interesting layer to his identity as a warrior. BENAIAH was the son of Jehoiada, who is described in the Bible as a valiant man of Kabzeel. Jehoiada, though from the tribe of Levi, is remembered not only for his religious connection, but also for his bravery and military skill. This suggests that BENAIAH's family was involved in activities beyond the traditional religious responsibilities of the Levites, possibly including military training and leadership. As a leader in his community, Jehoiada likely played an important role in both the spiritual and physical training of his son, preparing him for the significant responsibilities he would later assume. The mention of Jehoiada in the Bible emphasizes the importance of his figure and suggests that he deeply influenced BENAIAH's career. BENAIAH grew up in Kabzeel, a town located in the southernmost region of Judah, near the border with Edom. This frontier environment, often marked by tensions and conflicts, contributed to the development of BENAIAH's skills as a warrior. Living in an area prone to enemy incursions would have required the local men to be constantly ready for defense, and it is likely that BENAIAH learned to fight from a young age. The combination of his Levitical origins, the rigorous training provided by his father Jehoiada, and the constant need to defend his homeland shaped BENAIAH into a formidable fighter and a natural leader. The name BENAIAH holds significance and originates from Hebrew. In Hebrew, BENAIAH is a combination of two words, ben, meaning son of, and Yah, which is an abbreviation of God's name, Yahweh, or Jehovah. Therefore, the name BENAIAH can be interpreted as son of God, or one to whom God is merciful. It is important to note that many names in the Bible have symbolic and spiritual meanings. And BENAIAH reflects the belief in the importance of a relationship with God, serving as an expression of faith and trust in the divine. BENAIAH lived during a period of great transformations and challenges in the kingdom of Israel, under the leadership of King David. David, the second king of Israel, is a central figure in biblical history, known for both his devout heart towards God and his military and political skills. He unified the tribes of Israel, establishing a strong, centralized kingdom with Jerusalem as its capital. This historical context was marked by constant wars, both to defend the kingdom from invaders and to expand its borders. During David's reign, Israel faced a series of powerful enemies, including the Philistines, Ammonites, Moabites, Edomites, and Arameans. Each of these nations posed a significant threat to the security and stability of Israel. David, a formidable military leader, led his army in victorious campaigns. Establishing Israel's supremacy in the region, David's conquests not only ensured Israel's peace and prosperity, but also fulfilled the promises made by God to Abraham regarding the possession of the land. Through bloody battles and brilliant strategies, David was able to subdue many of his enemies, expanding Israel's territory and solidifying his position as one of the most powerful kings of his time. David's army was an impressive force, made up of brave and experienced soldiers. Within this army, there was an elite group known as David's mighty men, or Geberim. These men were exceptional warriors, each distinguished by notable feats in battle. BENAIAH, son of Jehoiada, was one of the most outstanding among these mighty men. His name is mentioned alongside giants like Joab, the commander of David's army, and Abishai, another of the key military leaders. BENAIAH's deeds were legendary, and he quickly gained a reputation as one of David's most fearless and loyal warriors. David's army was meticulously organized and highly efficient. The king divided his troops into various units, each led by experienced commanders. David's mighty men were his personal guard, composed of the most loyal and skilled warriors. They were responsible for protecting the king and carrying out missions of high importance and risk. BENAIAH's presence in this group reflects his significance and the respect he earned through his actions. He stood out not only for his bravery but also for his strategic ability, unwavering loyalty to King David, and his deep faith in God. BENAIAH served David at a critical time in Israel's history, as the kingdom was establishing itself as a regional power. The battles and conquests under David's leadership created an environment where courage and physical strength were essential for survival. BENAIAH's first great feat occurred during a period of intense hostility between Israel and Moab, a neighboring nation frequently in conflict with the people of God. Moab was known for its military strength and fierce warriors who posed a constant threat to Israel's security and stability. Amidst this tension, BENAIAH faced a formidable challenge to confront and defeat two of Moab's most formidable warriors. These men were not ordinary soldiers. They were considered heroes in their own right, known for their bravery and exceptional combat skills, inspiring fear even among the bravest fighters. The encounter between BENAIAH and the two Moabite warriors took place in a battle setting where the numerical superiority and strategic advantage were on the enemy's side. However, BENAIAH, driven by a sense of duty and trust in God, was not intimidated by the apparent disadvantage. Armed with his faith and combat experience, he faced both opponents simultaneously, demonstrating an impressive combination of strength, agility, and tactical intelligence. The ensuing battle was intense and brutal, with each move requiring precision and determination. BENAIAH skillfully avoided coordinated attacks, responding with decisive blows that, one by one, took down the Moabite warriors. His victory not only eliminated an immediate threat, but also served as a powerful symbol of divine protection and Israel's military superiority over its enemies. This heroic feat elevated BENAIAH's status among his countrymen, marking him as a warrior of exceptional caliber and a dedicated defender of his people. Another episode that highlights BENAIAH's unparalleled courage is the story where he faced and killed a lion inside a pit on a snowy day. This incident is particularly impressive due to the adverse circumstances surrounding it. The harsh weather, with snow covering the ground, made movements dangerous and unpredictable, reducing visibility and increasing the risk of slips and falls. Facing a lion would be a terrifying task under ideal conditions, but doing so in such a hostile environment required extraordinary courage and determination. BENAIAH's decision to enter the pit and face the lion indicates a profound sense of duty, and perhaps the need to protect his community from an immediate threat. The lion, a powerful and fierce creature, posed a deadly danger, especially within the confined space of the pit, where there was no room for escape or significant evasive maneuvers. BENAIAH descended into the pit, knowing that he would face the beast on its own turf, where the lion held a natural advantage. The ensuing battle was fierce and desperate. The deafening roar of the lion mixed with the sound of footsteps on the snow as BENAIAH fought with all his strength, using every fragment of skill and experience he possessed. Amidst sharp claws and deadly teeth, he kept his composure, looking for openings to strike and defend himself. Finally, through a combination of brute strength, strategy, and perhaps divine intervention, he won. BENAIAH managed to subdue and kill the lion. This feat not only removed a dangerous threat, but also stood as a testament to BENAIAH's incredible courage and faith, further solidifying his reputation as a hero among his people. BENAIAH's third notable feat involves his victory over a colossal Egyptian warrior armed with a formidable spear. Egypt, known for its rich culture and military power, produced highly trained warriors who were feared throughout the ancient world. BENAIAH's opponent in this encounter was described as a man of great stature, possibly a giant, whose spear was compared to a weaver's beam, indicating its considerable size and weight. Facing such a formidable adversary with nothing but a staff highlighted BENAIAH's audacity and confidence in his skills and divine protection. While the Egyptian relied on his physical strength and the superiority of his weapon, BENAIAH counted on his agility, speed, and strategic intelligence. He approached the giant with calculated caution, using his staff not only as a weapon but also to parry and block the powerful strikes from the enemy's spear. At a critical moment in the battle, BENAIAH accomplished an impressive feat. He disarmed the Egyptian, taking possession of the adversary's own spear. With this weapon now in his hands, he completely turned the tide of the fight, using the spear against its original owner, and decisively defeating him. These three heroic feats not only cemented Benaiah's reputation as one of Israel's most valiant and skilled warriors, but also served as enduring inspirations of courage and faith. His exploits in combat quickly caught the attention of David, who saw in him a valuable and trustworthy ally. David's recognition of Benaiah's bravery culminated in his promotion to the position of commander of the royal guard, a role of immense prestige and responsibility. The king's personal guard was the elite unit within the army, charged with protecting the king at all times, both in times of peace and war. Being appointed commander of this guard was a clear signal that BENAIAH had earned David's complete trust. This position was not only a recognition of his martial abilities, but also of his loyalty and integrity. The royal guard, composed of Israel's finest soldiers, needed a leader who could not only fight alongside them, but also lead them with wisdom and courage. BENAIAH proved to be exactly that leader. His loyalty to David was unwavering throughout his entire career. In a time when court intrigues and conspiracies were common, BENAIAH remained steadfastly loyal to David, even in the most difficult situations. His loyalty was rewarded not only with promotions and prestigious positions but also with David's personal trust. BENAIAH's loyalty was not just a matter of military duty, it also reflected a deep respect and admiration for David, whom he saw as the God-chosen leader to govern Israel. BENAIAH was also present during key moments that shaped Israel's future. During David's final days, the question of succession to the throne became an urgent and delicate issue. Adonijah, David's fourth son, observing his father's frailty and the lack of an official proclamation regarding the successor, decided to act on his own, attempting to establish himself as king. This decision was not impulsive, but calculated, inspired by the example of his brother Absalom, who had previously attempted unsuccessfully to usurp David's throne. Adonijah, aware that the support of influential figures would be crucial to legitimizing his claim to the throne, began gathering powerful and influential men around him. Among them were Joab, David's army commander, and Abiathar the priest. Joab, despite his loyalty and service to David in numerous battles, was a complex and in many ways ambiguous figure. His decision to support Adonijah may have been motivated by a combination of personal ambition and dissatisfaction with the direction things were taking at court. Abiathar, on the other hand, also had a long history of service to David, but like Joab, chose to align himself with Adonijah, perhaps believing he would hold a prominent position in the new regime with this powerful support. Adonijah felt confident enough to take the next step in his conspiracy. He organized an elaborate ceremony to proclaim himself king, carefully choosing the location and the guests for the event. The ceremony was held at En Rochelle, a water spring near Jerusalem, a significant and accessible location, yet far enough from the palace to avoid immediate interference from David or his supporters. Adonijah invited all of his brothers except Solomon and all the army officials of Judah, except for those loyal to David and Solomon. He also excluded David's closest allies, such as the prophet Nathan, BENAIAH, and the select group of warriors that formed the royal guard. During the celebration, Adonijah sacrificed sheep, oxen, and fattened calves, a demonstration of power and prosperity that also carried profound religious and political significance. The feast was a grand event, intended to gather support and solidify his claim to the throne. The sacrificial offerings and the subsequent meal were integral parts of the self-proclamation rite, suggesting that the gods, and particularly the God of Israel, were on Adonijah's side. The presence of Joab the ceremony reinforced the legitimacy of the event, conveying the message that the military and the clergy were in agreement with the new order Adonijah sought to establish. However, this grand celebration and Adonijah's attempt to solidify his control over the throne did not go unnoticed. Nathan the prophet, a close and trusted advisor to David, immediately grasped the seriousness of the situation. Nathan understood that if Adonijah succeeded in taking the throne, God's promise to David that Solomon would be his successor would be thwarted. He knew that a successful usurpation by Adonijah could plunge Israel into civil war or, at the very least, prolonged instability. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, Nathan acted quickly. He went to Bathsheba, Solomon's mother, and together they devised a plan to alert David about the unfolding conspiracy. Nathan suggested that Bathsheba go to David and remind him of the promise that Solomon would be his successor, warning that, in this moment of weakness, the kingdom could be lost to Adonijah. He instructed Bathsheba to ask David directly whether he had changed his mind or if Adonijah was acting without his consent. Bathsheba's message was not only meant to awaken David to the reality of the situation, but also to appeal to his sense of duty and the divine promise concerning Solomon. After Bathsheba's entry, Nathan would follow, entering the room to confirm her account and further emphasize the urgency of the moment. Their coordinated approach worked as planned. When Bathsheba presented herself to David, she expressed her concern for the future of Solomon and the kingdom itself, emphasizing that if Adonijah became king, both she and her son would be in grave danger. Nathan then entered and reinforced Bathsheba's words, informing David about Adonijah's self-proclamation ceremony at An-Rogel. He warned David that, unless he acted quickly, the throne could be taken by Adonijah, and Solomon's reign would never come to pass. David's response was immediate. In an urgent and symbolic ceremony, David ordered that Solomon be anointed and proclaimed king, with BENAIAH playing a key role in this process. BENAIAH, along with the priest Zadok and the prophet Nathan, ensured that Solomon was anointed in Gibeon, a move that solidified Solomon's claim to the throne and temporarily halted Adonijah's conspiracy. This swift and decisive action by David, influenced by Nathan and Bathsheba's diligent intervention, set into motion a plan. The events that would ultimately thwart Adonijah's plot and secure the throne for Solomon. After the anointing, the people erupted in joy. The sound of trumpets filled the air, and the people of Jerusalem shouted, "Long live King Solomon!" The city was overtaken by spontaneous celebration, with the populace recognizing and accepting Solomon as their new ruler. The cheers and jubilation of the people were a clear demonstration that the nation stood with Solomon, and that any attempt by Adonijah to claim the throne was doomed to fail. This public display of support was crucial for Solomon's success, as it consolidated his power and dismantled Adonijah's conspiracy. Meanwhile, Adonijah and his followers were in the midst of their own celebration of the unaware that the tide had turned against them. When the sound of trumpets and the cheers from Jerusalem reached them, Adonijah's feast came to an abrupt halt. In 1 Kings 1:149, we see Adonijah's and his guests' reaction. Joab, ever alert and experienced in battles and conspiracies, was the first to sense that something was wrong. He questioned the noise, and it soon became clear that devastating news was on the way. Soon Jonathan, son of Abiathar, arrived at the banquet, with the news that no one there wanted to hear. Solomon had been anointed king, and by David's command. Upon hearing this, fear and panic gripped Adonijah and his supporters. They realized that their conspiracy had failed and that they were now in grave danger. The guests, who had previously supported Adonijah, quickly dispersed, each one seeking to save their own life. The euphoria of the banquet turned into terror and despair as Adonijah, who had so recently seen himself as the new king of Israel, now faced the grim reality of his imminent downfall. Adonijah, fearing for his life, fled to the altar of the Lord, grasping the horns of the altar in search of protection, a desperate gesture that revealed his guilt and acknowledgement of his defeat. He hoped the sacred place would provide him a safe haven, and that Solomon, upon learning of his act, would show him mercy. As Adonijah clung to the altar, his situation was precarious. He knew that his survival depended on Solomon's clemency. Seeking refuge at the altar was an appeal to the new king to demonstrate mercy rather than revenge. 1 Kings 1:5051. Adonijah sent a message to Solomon, asking for his life to be spared. He acknowledged his defeat and knew that his life was now entirely in Solomon's hands. This plea for mercy showed Adonijah's awareness of his vulnerability, hoping that familial ties and the sanctity of the refuge might save him. Solomon, newly ascended to the throne, faced a crucial decision. He could have chosen to eliminate Adonijah immediately, ensuring that no future threats to his reign would arise. However, Solomon opted for clemency, a decision reflecting both his wisdom and his understanding of royal politics. Solomon agreed to spare Adonijah's life, but under strict conditions. He warned Adonijah that his life would be preserved only if he conducted himself as an honorable man and made no further attempts to seize the throne. In 1 Kings 1:5-53, Solomon made the terms clear. As long as Adonijah showed loyalty and did not conspire again, he would live. If he failed, his life would be forfeit. Solomon was willing to grant mercy, but also made it clear that he would not tolerate any threat to his reign. Adonijah accepted the offer of clemency and was brought before Solomon, where he bowed in submission. Solomon, in a display of magnanimity, allowed Adonijah to return to his home, but the underlying tension remained. Solomon's decision was both a demonstration of power and a test for Adonijah. He expected his half-brother to accept his subordinate position and refrain from challenging the established order. However, he did not. The story did not end there. Sometime later, Adonijah made one last attempt to claim power, making a request that on the surface might have seemed harmless, but carried deep political implications. He approached Bathsheba, Solomon's mother, asking her to intercede with the king to grant him permission to marry Abishag the Shunammite. Abishag, who had served as a caretaker for David in his final days, was technically one of the king's concubines, though the biblical text indicates that David never had relations with her. Still, in the culture of the time, marrying a king's concubine could be interpreted as a claim to the throne. Adonijah knew that by marrying Abishag, he would position himself as a contender for the throne, subtly challenging Solomon's authority. Bathsheba, perhaps not fully grasping the political implications of Adonijah's request, brought the petition to Solomon. However, Solomon, trained in the wisdom and shrewdness of David, immediately understood the hidden meaning behind the request. In 1 Kings 2:2-24, Solomon reacted decisively. He recognized that Adonijah's attempt to marry Abishag was, in fact, an effort to secure a position that could lead to another attempt to usurp the throne. For Solomon, this act confirmed that Adonijah still posed a threat to his reign and the kingdom's stability. With this final move, Solomon concluded that Adonijah could no longer be trusted and ordered his execution, bringing an end to the potential threat and solidifying his control over the kingdom. Faced with this new threat, Solomon made the final decision to end Adonijah's life. He could not allow his half-brother to continue challenging his authority and risking the peace of the kingdom. In a clear demonstration of authority and resolve, Solomon ordered Adonijah's execution. BENAIAH, being the commander of the royal guard and one of Solomon's most trusted men, was tasked with carrying out this order. Without hesitation, BENAIAH fulfilled the task, executing Adonijah and ensuring that the threat to Solomon's throne was neutralized. While this act was violent, it was necessary to preserve the stability of the kingdom and showed BENAIAH's willingness to do whatever was required to protect Solomon's legitimate reign. In addition to executing Adonijah, BENAIAH was also entrusted with other critical missions by Solomon, including the execution of Joab, who had betrayed David by supporting Adonijah. Joab, once one of the principal commanders of David's army, sought refuge at the altar of the tabernacle, hoping the sanctity of the place would protect him. However, Solomon ordered that he be removed and executed, ending the life of a man who had been both an ally and a potential threat. Once again, BENAIAH was called upon to carry out this order. By executing Joab, BENAIAH not only eliminated a problematic figure, but also further solidified his position as Solomon's trusted agent. These actions by BENAIAH on behalf of Solomon reflect his unwavering loyalty and his crucial role in consolidating Solomon's reign. And he acted not only as the king's enforcer, but also as a guardian of the kingdom, protecting it from internal and external threats. Following the transition of power, BENAIAH was appointed as the supreme commander of Israel's army, marking the pinnacle of his military career. BENAIAH succeeded Joab, one of David's most notable and controversial commanders who had played a pivotal role in Israel's military victories, but whose ambiguous loyalty ultimately compromised his position. Under BENAIAH's leadership, the Israelite army underwent a consolidation of forces and a reaffirmation of Israel's power in the region. BENAIAH brought a fresh vision to military command, emphasizing loyalty, discipline, and efficiency. His leadership of the army helped stabilize the kingdom during the transition from David's reign to Solomon's, ensuring that the military remained a unified and effective force. BENAIAH's legacy is a rich and profound heritage that resonates throughout the pages of the Bible as a remarkable example of bravery, loyalty, and unwavering faith. Throughout his life, BENAIAH stood out not only as a formidable warrior, but also as a leader of unquestionable character and a devoted servant of God. His life serves as a living testimony to the importance of maintaining integrity and courage in the face of adversity, offering valuable lessons to believers of all generations. As a warrior, BENAIAH accomplished feats that placed him among the most celebrated of David's mighty men. He killed 2 powerful Moabite warriors, faced and defeated a lion in a pit on a snowy day, and overcame an Egyptian giant armed only with a staff. Each of these acts of courage highlights BENAIAH's physical strength and skill. But more importantly, they reveal his determination and unwavering trust in God. He confronted challenges that would have caused many to hesitate, but BENAIAH pressed forward, knowing that his mission was more than personal. It was part of a greater divine plan to protect and strengthen Israel. As a leader, BENAIAH rose through the ranks of David's army, eventually becoming the commander of the royal guard and later the supreme commander of Israel's army. His rise was not just a reward for his combat prowess, but also a reflection of his unquestionable loyalty and integrity. BENAIAH was a man in whom both David and Solomon could place complete trust, even in the most difficult moments. His leadership brought stability and security to the kingdom, and his ability to make just and effective decisions solidified his reputation as one of Israel's greatest military leaders. As a faithful servant of God, BENAIAH demonstrated that true strength comes from faith. He served David and Solomon with the conviction that he was fulfilling God's will, and this faith guided his actions throughout his life. BENAIAH never wavered in his duty, even when it meant making difficult decisions, such as the execution of Adonijah and Joab, to protect Solomon's legitimate reign. His loyalty was not only to earthly kings but also to the King of Heaven, and this spiritual devotion permeated all of his actions. The lessons that BENAIAH's life offers to believers today are profound and timeless. In a world where courage, faith, and loyalty are often tested, BENAIAH serves as an example of what it means to stand firm in one's convictions. He teaches us that true bravery is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to do what is right, even in the face of great danger. His unwavering faith in God reminds us that, no matter the challenges we face, we can trust that we are in His hands. Moreover, BENAIAH's loyalty to both his leaders and to God challenges us to be faithful in all areas of our lives, maintaining our integrity and commitment, even when it is difficult. In the broader biblical narrative, BENAIAH plays a crucial role in establishing and consolidating the kingdom of Israel. He was one of the cornerstones upon which David and Solomon built a kingdom that would become central in the history of God's people. Without leaders like BENAIAH, who were willing to fight for and protect what was just and true, the history of Israel would be lost. Could have been very different. BENAIAH's presence in the scriptures is a reminder that God uses ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary things, and that each of us has a role to play in the grand divine plan. Thus, BENAIAH's legacy is far more than his military accomplishments. It is a legacy of faith, courage, and loyalty that continues to inspire and challenge believers today. His life reminds us that by serving God with all our heart, we can face any challenge and leave a lasting impact that will resonate through the generations. If you found this video informative and inspiring, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our future content. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.